That's really funny you should ask that because I think starting out my goal was just to have fun. And I did that. I mean, I achieved that with episode one. That was it was always fun. It was always planning the content, planning the color schemes, how that was going to work out. So yeah, that was part of it. Then um, I have a friend who is, or he at least was at that time, um, an evening anchor for the CBS News affiliate in DC. And he saw the first episode. He called me and he said, "Dude, you're really good. This is amazing. I love this." He also ran a small production company on the side. He said, "I really think that you could land somewhere like Magnolia Network or, one of those places where they have these tutorial kind of shows with people who are like you and engaging and, can speak to the camera and speak to an audience." So I'll be honest, in the first year completely, I had that in the back of my mind the whole time. It's like, oh, let's just roll along with this and see what happens. It was very slow growth. It seemed like it took forever to get to 1,000 subscribers. And
Mm.
then we jumped to 1,500, we jumped to 2,000. And I think right now, the channel's somewhere around 4,000, 4,200, something like that.
Wow. Mhm.
So, over the course of 3 years, I guess that's not bad. But I was looking for a swell of, let's get to 15,000 and really get somebody's attention, and those kind of things. So um, that never happened. That never came to fruition. I began to look at the finances of it, apart from having fun. The return on investment based on what I was spending was just not there. So for the current time, we have stopped filming. So there are no new episodes going up. But it's one of those things I have no regrets about. I don't regret spending that money. It was fun. I just had to make the business decision not to spend that money anymore.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. And when you were saying spending the money, it was mostly for videography and editing, right? You weren't doing any paid boosting or ads.
No, no.
Yeah.
Mostly, yeah, the videography and editing, and then a small portion for product containers. Things that I
Okay.
would feature on the episodes.
Yeah. And I think that what you hit on was you started something because you were passionate about it, right? You want, I think, as a creative and just as uh, all of us are working in our business, but sometimes you want a fun project that breaks from that. And you stayed with it for years, which I think is huge for a lot of businesses think, let's try something one time. Oh, it didn't work. We're going to stop. When
Mm.
a lot of it is repetition, being consistent, but also optimizing, changing things up depending on your goal. And your goal was to have fun. So I think it's so like just a good example of breaking free of like not everything has to be eventually, like you said, you have to have ROI because it's an expense, but sometimes you just do stuff because you need it. You need it and your team needs it, and that's okay.
Oh, 100%. 100%. And, for coming back from the White House experience and doing that was the thing I needed. That's the best way to say it. It was the thing I needed at that moment to give me another creative channel, another outlet for what I do, but also a way to engage with people and be able to share that with them. We did a few episodes where we actually invited people here to the shop to watch in the background. And oh my gosh, that was so much fun. And if you pay close attention, you can tell which episodes those are because I'm always a little more loose and always like, oh, and where Jason Collins with Simple Times Photography did the video,
Oh,
and he is amazing. But he did such a great job of editing, you really can't tell a lot of that. But we were chatting and laughing, and you were having a great time.
I love that.
But yeah,
That
I
audience.
that's right. That's right. Somebody suggested at one point that we sell tickets, and it's like, I'm just not sure that would happen. Right, right, right. But I do think it was important to try. I think it
Yeah.
was important just to, put myself in a place that was a little uncomfortable. It was a little
Yeah.
like, I don't know how this is going to go. Um, and fortunately, during that time, I was able to cover the expense of that. So, I realized that that's something that not everybody can say. So I feel very fortunate that that was the case. Um, but then in retrospect, as I was looking forward and thinking about some other opportunities or other challenges, things I wanted to do, it's like, do I spend the money on this or do I now channel the money toward this? So
Right. Yeah. Yeah, that makes complete sense.